Imagine that Exeter has been struck by a significant earthquake. Transport links are damaged, homes have been destroyed. Tragically, Exeter's foremost cultural site, Waitrose, has been obliterated. In all of the chaos, you might have two important questions. What help do I need, and where do I go to get it? What I can guarantee is that each of you would answer these questions slightly differently. The earthquake will have affected people and their existing needs in quite different ways. As such, you may have imagined needs that recovery organisations hadn't anticipated. In many ways, these questions of what help do I need and where do I get it are the starting points for my research, which is set in Christchurch after a series of destructive and fatal earthquakes. In the aftermath, over 250 welfare initiatives were established to help people recover. This is really interesting in itself. If 250 organisations emerged, what does that say about the existing welfare infrastructure? Could it not handle the demand? Did people have needs that weren't anticipated or perhaps couldn't be met by government? In order to explore these questions, I spent 9 months working within emergent welfare groups. From this, it became clear that traditional recovery organisations, like the Red Cross, didn't necessarily offer people the services they needed. Instead, I saw organisations helping people in two quite novel ways. Engaging in the city was about organisations facilitating connection. A number of welfare groups emerged that sought to connect people with services, but most importantly, with the government. There was a widespread distrust of government post-quake, and the voluntary sector was seen as the best place to connect people with the state. On the other hand, engaging with the city was about organisations creating spaces where people could voice their visions for what direction the recovered city might take. In some ways, I found that these organisations were about giving people responsibility. That is the capacity to make sense of and respond to the changes happening in their city. Now, some might look at these emergencies and say, maybe we weren't equipped to deal with the depth of people's issues post-disaster. This is part of it, but there is something more here. Welfare in these emergent organisations looks different, strange, unusual even compared to the norm, and it's here that the significance lies. Many welfare organisations rely on government funding and recognition in order to survive. However, governments are less likely to contribute to activity that falls outside of our understandings of what welfare traditionally looks like, and could actually be viewed as equipping people to resist the state-led recovery. As such, the significance of my work lies in thinking about the implications of providing untraditional forms of welfare. So, thinking back to the Exeter earthquake, you may have had your emergency disaster packs at the ready, but who might you be reliant on in the longer term?